ready for this week's spill.
Grab your favorite drink and come hang out with us.
Okay, so we got a different type of drink today. It still has like the boba pearls, but it is a chocolate banana smoothie.
It looks so good.
Yeah,
Okay.
it has like whipped cream and marshmallows and stuff on top of it.
It is marshmallows. I thought so.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, first sip. Oh my god. Oh my god, that tastes like my childhood.
It's so good.
Okay, that's bomb.
It's a little watery, but it's good.
Well, I mean,
but it's good.
we stay true to the brand. We don't have the first sip until we start recording.
That's true. So for this episode, you guys were doing our spooky Halloween one.
Woo!
We're gonna go back and forth reading Halloween stories that are spooky.
Get your big girl panties on.
Yep.
Okay, Cass, will you start us off?
Okay, so the first one I have, this one doesn't have a title,
Oh.
but it's just like a spooky little blip. Okay, so it says, after working a hard day, I came home to see my girlfriend cradling our child. I don't know which was more frightening, seeing my dead girlfriend and stillborn child, or knowing that someone broke into my apartment to place them there.
Ew, I just got goosebumps. Ew.
Yeah, so we're like really just jumping in here.
My first one is from Dungeon Marshall on Reddit, and it's called Personally, I Like Clowns. I'm not afraid of clowns, are you? There is no shame in it if you are. I get it. They have chalk white faces and blood red lips. A facade of a smile attempts to deceive people into believing their wearers are in a state of perpetual happiness. Then there's simply that air of mystery as to who it really is under all that grease paint and baggy clothing. But none of these factors have ever bothered me. Also, I'm not one of those creeps who, upon learning that someone is afraid of clowns, will try to subject them to the sight of one. This behavior is tantamount to throwing a tarantula into the lap of someone with arachnophobia. I don't get my kicks by torturing others. But to me, clowns are people who have always seen a need to try to bring joy and laughter to those who really need it. This world is a sick place, and every day seems to get a little sicker. So I really appreciate their efforts. Perhaps to an excessive degree. After all, I might be the only guy in the world in his 40s whose man cave consists entirely of clown motifs. But that room really makes me smile, especially after a hard day. I live in a small house almost in the middle of nowhere. A few months ago, I had been doing some work in my flower garden. I heard the car pull into my lane and its door shut, but it did not divert my attention away from the project. From behind me, someone asked, "Do you know where I can find the Ryerson place? 1262 East, 1150 North Road is the address." My GPS keeps sending me in circles. I stopped what I was doing, turned around, and to my delight found a man in a full clown costume standing in my yard. "Bill and Susan Ryerson? Sure, I know how to get there. I better write it down for you, though. It can get a little tricky out here in the sticks." And then I added, "Come on out of the heat while I write it down. You'll sweat off your paint out here." He gladly followed me in. "What's your name? Your clown name, I mean." He laughed a little, half amused, and he answered me with the funny voice he used for his persona. "Joe Jangles the Clown, pleased to meet you." With this introduction, he wiggled his arms, ringing the multitude of tiny round bells sewn to the cuffs of his sleeves. "The pleasure is all mine," I said. Then I offered him a drink and invited him to take a seat in my kitchen. As I searched my junk drawer, I told him all about my appreciation of clowns. He, in turn, told me how refreshing it was to hear, and how it seemed like more and more people just didn't care for those in his profession anymore. I stood behind him as he finished the last of the lemonade I gave him. I brought my claw hammer down onto the base of his skull very swiftly, powerfully, and with perfect accuracy. He didn't suffer. As I said, I don't get my kicks by torturing others. Now Joe Jangles is the prize of my collection. I have him displayed prominently in my clown room, and after a hard day in an evil, uncaring world, I like to look at him. He brings a smile to my face. I'm scared of clowns too, so that one was like, ugh.
Ew.
I know.
But like that shit happens.
I know. John Gacy.
Ugh. Barf. Okay, this one is called Adult Hide and Seek. "Where are you?" I scream. Panicked, I run through the abandoned farm. I can't find her. Not in the old house, not in the barn. I run into the empty field, heart racing, as I scan the area. I run into a mound of dirt and trip, sprawling to the ground. Getting up, it hits me. Abandoned farm. I tripped over freshly tilled earth. Crouching down, I start frantically clawing with my hands, scooping handfuls of dirt. I hit something hard. It's wood. Are you in there? I cry, pressing my ear to the wood. I hear muffled cries. I start digging again, but realize it's taking too long. Looking around, I see a garden shed. I sprint to it, ripping the door open. I see a shovel, still caked in dirt. Probably the same one that the bastard buried her with. I grab it. Running back, I started digging with purpose. Soon, the wooden box is exposed. I toss the shovel and rip open the crate. She stares back at me, eyes wide, bound, gagged, but alive. I sigh with relief. Thank God. I reach into my bag, pulling out my rag and chloroform. I crouch down, placing it over her face. She struggles and faints. I toss her over my shoulder. Ah, hell, my brother says as I walk back to the truck with a smirk. You found her. Yep, you almost had me though, I laugh. All right, my turn. Where did you put her? I gesture to the creek area. Somewhere over there. Drowning's an issue though. Jerk, he says, running off. I smile, watching him go. I love adult hide and seek.
Ah! Oh my god! Ew, I was not expecting that.
Right? It's gross.
Oh my god!
It definitely was not expecting like a kidnapped girl.
No! Okay, this one's a little bit shorter this time. It is from Brown Assassin, again on Reddit, and it's called Traumatizing. My ex would have weird dreams about me after asking me to watch her in her sleep. I'll call myself Jake for this post, and I'll call her Sarah. It started through text. Sarah asked me to watch over her as she slept. I wasn't there physically, but she asked pretty much every night after that she had this dream about me when I did it. In her dream, I was looking through her window, kind of smiling, and she said she felt safe. To me, this was just a dream, but it started feeling strange how she was describing it as if someone actually was in her dreams, like in her mind. She said I would just watch her through the window as she laid in bed. Like straight up, a window was open, it was dark out, and she was in bed, and I would just be there right outside the window watching her. After a while, it goes on, and I'm still not freaked out until she started saying I was now standing in her room every night in her dream watching her. Just standing there, kind of smiling at her. I started to get very disturbed after she had this one dream, more like a nightmare. She said it was like the normal dreams, except when I was standing there, I said, I'm not Jake. And she woke up crying, calling me scared out of her mind. That's when she decided to start sleeping over at my place. It really messed with her for some reason. So she doesn't ask me to watch over her now that we're all cuddled up every night. For a while I forgot about it. It was just a dream. Or that's what I thought. One night I wake up and she's sitting beside me in bed with a blank stare. I'm not Jake. I'm not Jake. I tried to lightly shake her and wake her up, and she thought it was some kind of night terror or something. She didn't react to me at all, and I stopped for a second and held her in my arms, and I looked at her and said, Sarah, are you okay? And she turned her head and kind of smiled and said, I'm not Sarah.
Ew.
Don't you love this?
I'm always like terrified of one day because I feel like people can actually get possessed. I don't know. I don't know if that's
I
just
think
me
they
or
could.
like
I totally think they could.
I have that fear because you never know. You could wake up one day and you're like not you.
Ah.
Could you imagine?
I would hate, but you wouldn't know.
Exactly.
Oh, I'd hate that.
Yeah. Okay, so this one is called The Photographs. The last ones that I've read didn't have like a credit to give, and this one doesn't either. So it's just like a whoever wrote it.
Yeah, just like a anonymous.
A few months ago, a friend of mine, who is an up-and-coming nature photographer, decided to spend a day and night alone in the woods outside of our town. She wanted to get photos of the woods and wildlife as naturally as she could for her portfolio. She wasn't afraid of being alone, as she had camped by herself many times before. She set up a tent in the middle of a small clearing and spent the day taking pictures. She filled up 4 rolls of film on that trip, but something was strange about them. What she saw in those pictures has stayed with her ever since, and she is still trying to recover from the trauma that have caused her. Almost every picture was accounted for, except for one of the pictures in each roll of film. These pictures were of her, asleep in her tent in the middle of the night.
Ew. I couldn't tell where that was going.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate
Could
it.
you imagine?
Picture stuff freaks me out.
I love camping, but that's like always in the back of my head.
Is it really?
Yeah, like, is someone gonna come and, like, you know, do
Ugh.
something?
Well, I guess especially when you're tenting.
Yeah. And I
Ugh.
love tenting,
Do
but
you?
yeah.
I do too. I prefer cabins, I think, though. Okay. This one actually is cool because it's Halloween themed. Again, Reddit, and it's from Panterium, and it's called Halloween Bodies.
Ew.
Just wait, it is you. A few years ago, just 2 days before Halloween, I was talking to a good friend of mine who I thought I knew so well. We pretty much grew up together. I got married, but no kids, while he lived alone in the same house that his father left him, so we hung out a lot on his front porch, drinking beers and joking as all guys go. We got to talking about what we're going to do for Halloween because this was a fun time of the year where I'd hang out with him and hand out candy, scaring kids with cool decorations and spooky sound effects. This was something we'd always looked forward to every year, but as the years went by, we'd run out of good ideas to give scares, and the last idea we had the year before could never be topped. We had dug a grave-sized hole in the yard and had me coming out like a zombie handing candy to the kids, jokingly pulling them in the grave while we stood with a shovel like he was burying it. It was so great and so scary. It was the talk of the neighborhood, but this year we had no clue what to do. We needed something fresh and sure to make an impact that year, but some unforeseen circumstances happened on my end. My wife's sister had a medical emergency, and we had to drive to the next state over before Halloween. My friend was okay with me not helping this year. Apparently, he had a plan and made sure to get it all on video for me, just in case I couldn't make it back in time. When Halloween night came around, he sent me videos of these crazy awesome setups that he had. The kids being scared as they walked up to the house and the jump scares that he had done. I got texts from neighbors saying how awesome everything was and so realistic, and I was just bummed out I couldn't be there. I seen pictures of all the things he'd done, and the setup was just so insane, and I wondered where he'd gotten all these awesome props he had. I was proud of him and I was glad he had fun without me this year, but the next morning I awoke to some pretty concerning texts from those same neighbors asking where I was, and so many missed calls. One neighbor of mine told me to look up the local news online, and I wondered just what the hell was going on. I opened the video, and I saw that my friend had been arrested. There was a picture of him smiling as he was being arrested and put into the squad car yelling, "Happy Halloween!" And immediately I knew something was wrong. Apparently that night before Halloween, he had dug up some actual bodies from the local cemetery, loaded them into his truck, took them into his garage, and put Halloween costumes on them. He propped them up in certain poses, all those bodies in different states of decomposition. Some were actual bones laid out, sticking out of the ground in his yard, simulating zombies coming out of the ground. The thing that tipped the police off was when a couple of teenagers in the area were wrecking decorations at certain houses. They discovered the same bodies in my friend's yard, realized that they were real, told their parents, and their parents called the police. An immediate investigation of the graveyard was done and found that my friend had dug up 9 bodies, broken into a mausoleum to collect bones of the dead for the yard. I had no words to speak at that moment, and even my wife was shocked at what we had done. We just couldn't believe it. That following day, some pictures were released to the public, and what he had done was he had children take pictures sitting on the lap of a recently deceased man wearing a mask. Even in one video, a kid could be heard saying something smells bad. It was the recently rotting bodies. I regret telling him to step up his scare game. I honestly do not think he would be capable of doing something this morbid. He got 5 years in prison for desecration of the dead and immoral acts. I know one thing for sure, though. This was the step-up game. The one to set the bar on the scares. The one Halloween kids would never forget. What the town would never forget.
Gross. Is that one true? Did it say?
I don't know. Imagine, though. We'd have to look. That one we could probably Google and see if it's, like, actually true.
That's disgusting.
Can you imagine? Like, be careful looking at Halloween decorations on people's lawns.
The fact that the kid sat on that guy's lap is gross to me. Like, that poor kid.
I mean, it also probably was like the best Halloween decorations.
Ugh, gross.
It's so gross.
This one is called The Tape. During the summer of 1983, in a quiet town near Minneapolis, Minnesota, the charred body of a woman was found inside the kitchen stove of a small farmhouse. A video camera was also found in the kitchen, standing on a tripod and pointing at the oven. No tape was found inside the camera at the time. Although the scene was originally labeled as a homicide by police, an unmarked VHS tape was later discovered at the bottom of the farm's well, which had apparently dried up earlier that year. Despite its worn condition and the fact that it contained no audio, police were still able to view the contents of the tape. It depicted a woman recording herself in front of a video camera, seemingly using the same camera the police found in the kitchen. After positioning the camera to include both her and her kitchen stove in the image, the tape then showed her turning on the oven, opening the door, crawling inside, and then closing the door behind her. 8 minutes into the video, the oven could be seen shaking violently, after which point thick black smoke could be seen coming from it. For the remaining 45 minutes of video, until the batteries in the camera died, it remained in its stationary position. To avoid disturbing the local community, police never released any information about the tape, or even the fact that it was found. Police were also not able to determine who put the tape in the well, or why the height and stature of the woman in the video didn't come close to matching the body they'd found in the oven.
Okay, like I just got goosebumps again. I hate that.
But just as that one, yeah, it's creepy, but it doesn't make sense because then whose body did they find then if it wasn't that woman?
So she killed someone, right?
But the videotape showed her going in the oven.
Ew. I hate that one.
Right?
Ew.
Yeah, it's a mind fuck.
I don't like that one. I hate it.
Yeah. That's
So
another one that I
nasty.
want to actually look up the year and like the place.
Yeah, yours we could try and look up. Be like, hey, we found out it's real.
Yeah.
Okay, my next one is by Ep.7, and it's called Run. Run, run, and if you can't run, then walk, and if you can't walk, then crawl, but whatever you do, don't stop. It's only been an hour since everyone on Earth, as far as I could tell, heard those same words. I was already walking through the park when I heard them, and after seeing what happens, I won't be stopping anytime soon. It's been 2 hours. I've kept walking. I'm tired, but stopping is not an option. Some people tried driving, but the act of getting in a car requires stopping, even for a brief moment. And those already driving, when they heard the rules, soon found out it's impossible to move indefinitely in a vehicle, especially in a crowded city. Their screams keep me moving. It's been 4 hours now, and I'm exhausted, with the only thing pushing me forward being the fear of what awaits when I stop. And yes, I mean when, proven by plenty of those around me, eventually I will have to stop. Some have just given up, accepting their fate, only to immediately regret the decision. Some just couldn't take the screams anymore, and most simply don't see the point of continuing. And with every step, I'm starting to become more like the latter. It's been about 6 hours, and for the first time, I saw what happens up close. I was walking aimlessly down an alley, trying to get away from the madness, when I saw a young man no more than 16 crying. It didn't even register to me at first until he made eye contact with me. He had stopped moving. His eyes were bloodshot, and not just the whites around his pupils, I mean the entirety of his eyes were crimson red. Black tears streamed down his expressionless face, and then he smiled. A wide, toothy smile that would have screamed of joy if it wasn't followed by the animalistic screams that would give the biggest horror fanatic nightmares. I wish I could say witnessing his dying moments was the most horrific thing to happen to me today, but then it hit me. The realization that I had stopped moving. Yuck, yuck. I do like the apocalyptic-y ones. I don't know. There's something about thinking shit like that's possible.
I feel like it is. I don't know.
Well, have you seen The Mist?
I don't think I've seen that movie.
Watch it. It's fucked. It's a good one though.
I think about that sometimes. Like, what is it going to be like down the line when we're old? Or like,
Thinking about that stuff, like, actually gives me panic attacks. Oh my god, you are gonna have to have a gun and Crocs. Oh my god!
no, you had the gun.
Oh, I had the gun.
I was naked.
You were naked with Crocs.
And no protection.
And you had a bubble tea.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that was it. Long-time listeners.
Okay, this one's called wristbands.
Already hate it.
When you are admitted to a hospital, they place on your wrist a white wristband with your name on it. But there are other different colored wristbands which symbolize other things. The red wristbands are placed on dead people. There was one surgeon who worked on night shift in a school hospital. He had just finished an operation and was on his way down to the basement. He entered the elevator and there was just one other person there. He casually chatted with the woman while the elevator descended. When the elevator door opened, another woman was about to enter when the doctor slammed the close button and punched the button to the highest floor. Surprised, the woman reprimanded the doctor for being rude and asked why did he not let the other woman in. The doctor said, "That was the woman I just operated on. She died while I was doing the operation. Didn't you see the red wristband she was wearing?" The woman smiled, raised her arm, and said something like this.
Yours are all giving me goosebumps. Like, every time you're done, I get full, like, chills.
That one gave me goosebumps. Like, again.
Ew, the short ones are almost, like,
creepier.
Because they're so, like, straight to the point. Ugh. This one is from Josh J444. And it's called Emergency Alert, Do Not Look Outside Your Windows. Emergency Alert. Warning, this is not a test. I repeat, this is not a test. Citizens of the world, lock all your doors, close all your blinds, do not go near any windows, do not look outside, do not leave your house, stay in a room with no windows, gather what supplies you can, turn off all the lights, do not open the door for anything. When I first heard it, it didn't even sound real. It sounded fake, like something in a horror movie, but it was an emergency, so I decided I probably should do what they tell me. I grabbed a flashlight, pillow, my phone, charger, food, and basic other stuff to keep me entertained while this happened. I had no idea what was going on, but once I got into my bathroom and got comfy, I texted my parents asking them if they got the alert. They also did. They said citizens of the world. Did they actually broadcast that to the world, I asked myself. So I texted an internet friend that lives across the world. They said they got it too. Same exact message. And to be honest, it's kind of scary. They tell you what to do, but not what's going on. And people are scared of that. 20 minutes later, emergency alert. This is not a test. I repeat, this is not a test. Unknown creatures have been knocking on people's doors and have been killing people that open the door. There are 5 major hot spots: Washington, D.C., Tokyo, Toronto, Moscow, London. They've been located all around, but it seems as if they're attacking those first. This is an invasion. Stay in your rooms. Do not open any doors. Do not look outside. They can kill you instantly with just a look. May God help us all. Emergency nuke sirens are going off. Tornado sirens are going off. What is going on? Is this a prank? How can an invasion be real? Are aliens real? How can I even comprehend that? I hear car alarms going off. I hear things being destroyed. They're here, they're killing, and it sounds like a war zone, but there are no guns. What can the government do? Just shoot them? But they would die looking at them. There's no possible way we could ever survive this. We're going to die. I text my parents, but there's no answer. I text my brother and my sister, no answer. I start to panic now. What if my family is gone and all I can do is listen to the other people's families get murdered? The nuke sirens have started again. They're very loud, shaking my whole apartment. I wonder what the other people in my building are thinking. Probably like me. This is it. This is the end of the world. Everyone on the planet will die. I hear a knock on my door. I don't answer it. I hear someone screaming for me to open it. It sounded human. Should I open it? No, that would be stupid. Emergency alert. This is not a test. I repeat, this is not a test. The extraterrestrials are attacking every major city in the world. There's a lot of them. We have not found out what they want. Stay inside. Millions, if not billions, are dead. Stay inside. It's as if the government has given up now. There's no way to fight, and these messages are less helpful each time they come. If billions are dying, then I don't know if we can survive this. I mean, I have so far, but it doesn't sound like for long. I hear buildings being destroyed. I hear cars being destroyed. My building has been hit a few times. I'm hearing my world crumble around me. At this point, there's no reason to hope anymore. There's so many dying and there's so much chaos. They will get everyone. I would love to know what one of these things looks like, but if I see them, I die. I hope someone takes a picture, and if we do survive, I want to see it. I want to see what's killing us. But the end is somewhere near, and I don't know how many people we have left. Should I just kill myself? Maybe I should die before they get me. I don't want to die by those things. Plus, if I do survive and I get survivor's guilt, then there's no way I. Emergency alert. This is not a test, I repeat, this is not a test. The extraterrestrials have left, and left billions of people dead. If you are alive, please tap the button on your phone now. If on radio, tune to 104 and state your name and city. We will update you in 20 minutes. There's no way I would want to live. That's what I was going to say. Yet somehow I'm actually alive. Do I want to die now? Well, no, but how many people are alive? What did these things want? Why did they attack us? There's too many questions to even ask right now. At this point, all we can do is try to figure out some numbers and restart society. How can a world like ours recover from something like this? How long until society is normal again? Will humanity ever be the same? I don't know. What I do know is that I could have lost everything. I will text my friends and family and come back with some numbers. Emergency alert. This is not a test. I repeat, this is not a test. We have reported a little over 1 billion people accounted for. Not every country has technology, so we will investigate those countries. And in the coming months, we do not understand what those creatures wanted, nor what they have taken. In the next month or two, we will be figuring out the next steps for humanity. May God help us all. Only 3 people I know survived: my sister and my uncle and my best friend. Everyone else is dead. I want to kill myself, but at the same time, humanity needs me. We need each other to continue human life. Only time will tell what to do next, if there is anything next. It's 2 weeks later. The guilt is too much. I'm a fucking coward. Goodbye. That's a long one, I know, like reading through it takes a minute, but yeah. I think honestly, that's probably my biggest fear in the entire world is aliens. But I think they exist. Do you?
Yeah, I think they exist. I just don't think they look like how, like,
Stereotypical.
yeah.
I don't think so either.
I don't
think
know what the hell they look like, but I don't think it's that.
I don't either. And if they, like, I feel like they're small. Like, I'm sure there's a million kinds of them too. But I feel like they're like, because people always portray them as like super tall, skinny, gray, massive heads. I feel like they're like little.
Oh.
Like you could punt one.
But I do feel like there's something for sure because I just don't believe that we're the only, like, living things.
We can't be.
There's
That would just
too many other planets and, like, shit up there.
It's just like not logical for us to be the only ones.
And I feel like whatever it is, that yeah, they're like so advanced and they could take over.
Okay, actually, before we keep going, I was listening to this video or podcast, I don't remember, and they were talking about how they're pretty sure there's like an alien mothership or headquarters in the ocean, because if they are as smart as people think and they are as advanced as people think, where's the only place on the planet we haven't been? We've been to space, we've seen the whole world. The only place we haven't been able to search is the bottom of the ocean. So why the fuck wouldn't they set up there? We'd never find them.
True. There's just too much shit that, like, has been seen and happened for there to not be something.
Yeah.
Okay. So this one is off Reddit. It was just off of a horror stories page, so there's no, like, person to credit. But it's called An Evening Park Stroll Turned Horrific. I was walking through the local park one Tuesday evening when I discovered a young girl all alone near the swing set. I asked the little girl why she was in the park all by herself, and she said that she wasn't. The little girl told me that her mom had brought her here, but went over to the bushes to speak with a man that kept throwing stones at them. I looked over at the bushes, and standing there was a disfigured old man that was completely covered in blood. I grabbed the little girl and ran out of that park. The young girl's mother had been strangled and mutilated to death as she played on the swing set. The man responsible was never caught.
Ooh, anything with kids, like, fucks me up. Okay, my next one is from Klutzy-Chemical-1929, and it's called Don't Google Yourself. Don't Google yourself. Why? Because you might not like what you find. One day I was bored and I decided to search for my own name on Google. I have quite a rare name, so I didn't expect to find many results. Imagine how surprised I was when I came across a website that had my full name in the domain. www.myname.com. When I clicked the link, it brought me to a message board. I looked at the profile of the website owner and found out that the person was the same age as me and had the same hobbies and interests. There weren't any posts on the message board, but I was intrigued, so I saved it to my favorites. It was about a month later when I went back to the website. This time it had more content. There were some diary entries, mostly random things like the weather is nice today, or I'm so bored at work, things of that nature. However, as time went on, I began to notice more and more coincidences. The person lived in the same city as I did. It struck me as rather strange that two people with the exact same rare name would be living in the same city at the same time. At one point, I noticed that the contents of the diary were quite similar to my own life. One day I went to a baseball game, and when I checked the website that evening, I found that the owner of the site had gone to the same ball game. At first, I didn't think much of it. After all, tens of thousands of people in the city supported the same baseball team. It began to seem like much more than a simple coincidence. Whenever I checked the website, I would notice little biographical details that seemed too close for comfort. For example, the owner mentioned their pet dog, and the dog's name was the same as the dog I had when I was a child. The website owner posted a picture of their car. It was the same model of car I had been driving when I was in college. They talked about eating at a certain restaurant. It was the same restaurant I had gone to all the time when I was working at my previous job. One day when I looked at the message board, people had written messages to the owner saying happy birthday. That day, it was my birthday as well. I decided to write on the message board for the first time, just out of curiosity. I was going to wish the owner a happy birthday and tell them we had the same name. However, when I tried to write something, I realized that there was nowhere to type your message. It wasn't a message board at all, just a static page. That's really odd, I thought to myself. In other words, whoever owned the website had gone to a lot of trouble to make it seem as if it was an interactive site, as if there were other people posting on it, when in actual fact all the content must have been created by the owner. Why on earth would someone do that, I wondered. I decided to send an email to the owner. It read, "Hi there, believe it or not, we both share the same name. Nice to meet you." It was just a friendly email. The next day, when I tried to look at the website, I discovered that it was gone. It seemed like it had been deleted. Then I opened my mailbox. There was one reply, and when I looked at it, a chill ran down my spine. It just read, "Found you."
What the fuck?
So, like, are you getting stalker vibes? That's what I got. Originally, I was like, oh, okay, someone's stalking her.
Yeah, but that's a gross thing. Like,
Not-
if I opened my email and seen someone just put "found you," would never leave my house.
Well, you'd have to because they probably know where you live.
Wow.
Isn't that yuck?
Yeah.
Ugh.
I've never had a stalker.
I haven't either. That would be terrible,
Yeah.
right? Like, you'd feel so unsafe. Not me fighting the urge to Google myself right now.
The last time I Googled myself, it showed nothing. I mean, that's good. That's good, but, like,
That is good.
it'd be cool to, like, oh, there's something about you? Here you go. Okay, here is another one from the Horror Stories page on Reddit. For the past 30 days, at exactly 2:34, I've been awoken by a child screaming. Every single night for 30 nights. I would say the child is around 5 or 6 years old and a female. Living in a small neighborhood, I know everyone who lives here. I could list all of them right now without having to think about it. I know for a fact that all the children that have ever lived here are well over 25 now and have left the neighborhood to live somewhere with better job opportunities. No one has moved here in the past 12 years. At least that's what I thought until last night when I looked out of the window after being awoken again. Being a widow since last year, I live by myself, except for my cat, who slept through it all. I wiped the steamed-up window and peered out into the half-lit street. In the middle of the road was a small, rather slim child. Everything about them seemed normal, except the fact that they were standing on the road at 2:34 at night. And their eyes. Even squinting out into the dimly lit lane, I could easily make out those eyes. So white, they were almost glowing. There was no visible pupil, and not once did I see them blink. They were just staring straight forward. Suddenly, they fell to the floor, and another scream pierced my ears. There wasn't anyone nearby that could have knocked them over or a car in sight. It seemed like a huge gust of wind had blown them over, which would make sense, but the weather had been eerily calm that night. I debated whether I should go outside to make sure they were okay, but a part of my brain told me something wasn't right. I stayed put, keeping my eyes on the small child lying on the hard, cold floor. There was no sign of breathing, and I realized they could really be in danger. I reached for my phone, turned it on. No signal. I looked back out onto the street, and they were gone, like they had vanished into thin air. I managed to convince myself it had all just been my imagination, and slowly got back into bed. Just as I pulled the covers over myself, I heard the door banging 2 times. I sat up straight. Someone knocked again. 3 times this time. I reached under my bed for the gun I kept there. 4 knocks, sharp and clear, interrupted me. In my head, I tried to piece everything together. Suddenly I realized. Every night at 2:34 I heard a scream. 2 knocks, then 3, then 4. I started to panic. Fear spread through my body. The door crashed open, and that was when I blacked out. Next thing I knew, I was in the hospital. 3 cops were sitting beside my bed. I closed my eyes again, then heard them speak. They said someone had called them after hearing a scream. They said it sounded like a woman, probably in her 50s. I realized then what that meant. I am a 56-year-old woman. Every night I heard someone scream, until it reached the end of the month and it was my turn. I sat up. I asked the police officers if they had caught anyone. They said no. I asked them who had called. They said it was anonymous. The only clue they had was a ring they found in the middle of the street with the letters RW engraved on it. RW, RW, RW. I scanned my head for people I knew with those initials. Only one person. My dead husband, Robert White. They asked me if I would like to see the ring in case I could identify it. They brought it to me and I took it into my hands. I knew this ring. I had the same one on my finger with my initials on it. This was the ring I had given my husband for our 30th anniversary. He had never taken it off. He was buried with it.
I just got chills again.
But who was the kid?
Ew. Ew.
Like, who was the kid?
Ew. Did she have a kid?
Or, like, was it her young? Screaming? Like, telling her something was wrong?
Those ones trip me out because, like, what does it mean?
Like, why was his ring in the middle of the road? Or I'm wondering if, like, yeah, maybe they did have a kid and it passed away. I don't know.
Ew. Zombies. Ugh. Okay, my next one is pretty short, but it is from flowerprints-avi, and it's called My House Rules. Number 1, always take off your shoes when you come in. They don't like dirt. Number 2, always say hello. Number 3, when you enter the house, go straight to your room. Number 4, lock your door. Number 5, if you leave your room, go straight to where you need to. Do not stop walking. Number 6, walk with your head up. Number 7, never block your vision. Number 8, if you hear laughing, ignore it. It isn't there. Number 9, if you turn on a light, do not turn it back off. They will take care of it. Number 10, do not turn off the music. One guest in particular doesn't like the quiet. Number 11, do not look into the empty rooms. Number 12, when you get back to your room, lock the door again immediately. Number 13, get your feet off the floor as fast as possible. Number 14, if you hear someone calling your name, do not move. Number 15, if the sun is down, never look out your bedroom window. Number 16, don't check the closets under the bed or the showers. They like privacy. Number 17, at 3 a.m. things will start to happen. Do not answer your door. You will hear tapping on your window. When you do close your eyes, do not open your eyes. Number 18, Make sure you go to sleep by 3:12 a.m. Number 19. Don't forget, you live alone.
Gross.
Yeah.
And don't pass go and don't collect $200.
Yeah.
Ew.
Don't forget you live alone.
Do you ever get that feeling before you sleep that someone's watching you?
Okay, I'm going to describe exactly what I feel, and I need you to please tell me that this happens to you too. So sometimes when I'm going to bed, I get exactly what you just said, the feeling someone's watching you. And then I don't know how else to explain it, but I get static. Like it's almost like ringing, but it's like staticky. It's just like a feeling, but it's like a sound, but not a sound. It's a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like staticky, and then I can feel it getting closer and closer and closer and closer. And then it just stops, and I fall asleep.
I don't get like a staticky feeling, but there's a lot of nights where I'm laying there and I'm a stomach sleeper. So like there's a lot of times where I like physically get up and look behind me because I feel like someone is watching me.
Is it scary, or does it feel like comforting?
Not really comforting, I guess. It's more of like what the fuck, where you just like sense that there's something there. But I've never seen any. Not at this place. I've never seen anything.
Oh, we're gonna have to get into that at some point.
Yeah.
Both of us have had like paranormal
Mm-hmm.
experiences. I've had a lot in this house I'm in now.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, mine were mostly like my first apartment, and then in this current place, there's been like a few.
A couple in this one. How do I know about these ones? Probably.
I don't know.
We almost have to do like a paranormal episode and talk about like all our ghost stories.
Mm-hmm.
Ew, do you remember the one time we were driving? I forget where we were driving and we saw someone in a window.
In the
And then
bushes.
there was the bushes too, but there was someone.
Ew, it was the same down by the river.
Yes,
Of
and
course.
there was like an apartment and there was a window with a light on and we saw someone in the window. And then I think you turned around
Yeah.
and we went back and there was no one there and the light was off.
But just like the bushes.
What
The
happened
kid,
to
the kid in the mask or whatever. And when I went back, remember they were gone. There was two of them.
Walking in a mask.
Like what are those?
Balaclava or
Yeah.
whatever? Yeah. All black.
Yeah.
Yuck. Okay, we have to do a paranormal episode. That'd be
Yeah.
so fun because we have so many.
Keep your eyes peeled for that, guys.
Yeah.
Talking about our own spooky experiences.
Besteas ghost hunting.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, back to spooky story. This one's called Mommy's Home. This one's really short. I heard one. A father is laying in bed after just waking up. He grabs the baby monitor and walks to his desk in his office at home. He has his baby on the baby monitor and hears his wife singing to her. He cracks a smile as he hears his wife. Go to sleep. Go to sleep. When suddenly the front door opens and his wife comes in with groceries.
There's a word for that, like a mimic. Is that what it's called, a mimic? When there's like, you think you're talking to a person, but it's not really them, and then they like come into the room or whatever.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure they're called mimics. My next story is like that too.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So this one is from Falling from the Sky with 2 Ys, 31. And it's called I Don't Think My Wife Is Asleep. 2:49 a.m. I lie awake in a bed laying on my right side. My wife is behind me. She's awake. I can tell. I can feel her staring at me from behind. She's always been a night owl, but tonight feels different. She feels wrong. She's breathing heavy. I should check on her, but for the life of me I cannot bring myself to turn around. 3:03 a.m. I can feel her moving closer to me. She moves ever so slightly, and I can feel her touch the back of my hair. Is she caressing me? The hairs on my neck are standing up. Why is her hand so cold? I can see the door at my room through the darkness. My entire body just wants to jump up and run to it. I can't do that. I'm being silly. 3:13 a.m. She's right behind me. I can smell her breath. It's horrible. I've never smelled her like this before. I can feel something pressing into my back. Is it a knife? It doesn't feel sharp. I have to do something. I decide to jump up and turn the light on, but right before I do, the hall light turns on. I hear my wife coming up the stairs. She's on the phone with her mom, and I can hear her crying. Apparently, her grandpa died earlier today. He never liked me. Maybe that's why he decided to pay me a visit tonight. That would fuck you up big time.
Yep.
Like, you'd have to get divorced. I'm sorry. like you would. You'd have to. So sorry about that.
I feel like that's what I would do, though, if I didn't like somebody and I passed away. They'd be the first visit for me.
Oh. Really?
Yeah.
Maybe we need to hate each other before you die.
Like, here I am, bitch.
Guess who? Me.
Mama's home.
Hi, Mommy. Oh, God, no. God help us all. Oh, you'd be a fun ghost.
Oh, shit. I would be, mischievous. Is that the word?
Mischievous, yeah. Yeah, I feel like you would, you do, funny shit. Like, take all the paintings in someone's house and, slightly make them crooked. Or,
follow someone in the grocery store, pull their pants down. Oops.
Oh my god. Nip slips. Would you poltergeist? Would you throw shit around the room?
Probably.
That's what I would do. The first thing I would do is
eggs.
Whip a plate across the room.
Oh.
Eggs. Happy Halloween, bitch. Yeah, I feel like a plate would make an impact.
Yeah.
It's like a big crash. Supper was tits.
Oh, just eat all the snacks?
I fucking hate lasagna!
This is called The Lady in the Tree. There was a huge oak tree in my grandma's backyard when I was about 6 or 7, which has been cut down since. Where I lived, it wasn't uncommon for someone to have oak trees somewhere in their yard. But this tree, it was stripped of its bark, making it a gray-ash color. There were no leaves, and never once did I see any when I visited. I hated going in the back to play by myself. The branches always seemed to be looming over me, seeming to be dark, even on a bright and sunny day. One day when I got bored and decided to go outside to play, I decided to swing on the tire attached to the rope hanging on one of the branches. It was innocent enough. My grandmother was inside washing the dishes, but she could see me through the window, as it had a direct view of the entire backyard. I sat down and slowly started to swing. The branches croaked and squeaked each time I went back and forth. It sounded like it would break at any moment, but it was actually pretty sturdy. I'd used it before. Suddenly I got a creepy feeling, like something was watching me from above. I was too scared to look up. I looked through the window to see if my grandmother was still there, but when I looked at her, she was looking above me, a terrified look on her face, her hand covering her mouth. It felt like the sun suddenly vanished and a misty fog rolled in around me. When did that get there? I couldn't move. My fight or flight had me at option 3, frozen. I started hearing a creaking sound on the branch above me, like something was swinging back and forth slowly, and it wasn't me. I hadn't moved within the last 2 minutes. I almost started to cry when my grandmother finally came rushing outside and over to me, quickly moving me. She shielded me from seeing what was on the tree. Nothing was said when we got inside, though I think she didn't want me to freak out more than I already was. My grandmother moved from that house a few months after cutting the tree down. She didn't want me to come over after that, but now that she's in her new home, she lets me come over whenever I want. A few years later, when I had remembered the incident, I asked her what happened. She sighed. I had a feeling she still didn't want to tell me, and answered with the most terrifying answer anyone could think of. There was a woman hanging from her neck. It was all twisted, and the bone protruded through her skin. But she wasn't dead. She had a look of death in her eyes, and she was fixated on you, struggling to reach you. When I got to you, she started choking on her own blood. After hearing that, I was glad she had shielded me from seeing that. I'm happy that I never went back there, and I'm happy the tree was cut down, so no other child has to experience what I went through. I did some research and found out that a couple who had lived in this house before, the husband beat and killed his wife, snapped her neck, and hung her on the tree to make it look like suicide. It seems he wasn't in his right of mind.
I don't like that
That
one.
was dark.
That's dark. Ew. Like, I don't even know what to say.
I know, that
ew.
one's gross. And sad. And
That
fucked
too.
up.
It is also very sad, yeah.
Yeah.
That one too, I wonder if it's real. Okay, before I do this one, the author of this one is Cheeto McBumnut.
No. No.
It's a solid Reddit name. So Cheeto McBumnut titled this one, "If You Hear Voices While You're Home Alone, Run." I was at home. My parents went out to, ironically, get milk and other things, of course. I suddenly heard laughing coming deep from my closet. I thought it was my little sister trying to scare me, so I called out, "Scarlett, I've told you countless times that your tricks don't work on me anymore." I suddenly got a text from my parents. It said, "Your sister is helping us get the groceries so we can come home quickly." My blood ran cold. I quickly scanned the area again as I heard it again. "Come on, Chester, I want to play with you in the closet." I quickly jumped out of the bed and ran as fast as I could. I heard a blood-curdling scream as a bang came from my closet. It was chasing me. My heart pounded as each step hurt my chest. It felt like I was about to throw up. I reached my neighbor's house and I banged on the door. They opened the door with worried looks on their faces. I explained everything as fast as I could, and they called the cops. The cops arrived and found a naked man in my closet. While they walked out with the man, he looked at me, and his facial expression was something that will haunt my dreams for the rest of my life. He smiled at me with an almost ear-to-ear smile, and he mouthed the word, "Good decision," as they put him in the car. I always sleep with a nightlight, and I never stay home alone. One thing that keeps me up at night, though, what would have happened if I chose to open the closet door?
Ew. Like, why was he... Yeah. Why are you naked, buddy? Like...
Maybe he was also preparing for the apocalypse. Did he have Crocs on, yes or no?
Was he drinking bubble tea? Did he have a gun? And a blanket?
For the cold, lonely night.
Yeah.
Good decision.
Oh, no.
Yikes.
This one is called Nothing is Real. You do not have long. Do not stop reading this letter, and the moment you finish, enact the plan. You should be in a room that roughly mimics your childhood home. Do not fret. You are trapped within your own mind, but hope is not lost. You will remember. I will make you remember. Rule 1. Find the memories. You cannot let yourself forget who you are. Rule 2. Ignore the whispers. Your subconscious is telling you things that you do not need to hear. Rule 3. If the door to your room opens slightly at any time, close it immediately. Barricade it with anything you can. Until this happens, you do not need to worry, and doing anything before then will only harm you. Rule 4. A window should be directly above where your bed lies. This is the most pressing matter. Cover it with anything that you can. If I enacted the ritual correctly, a few rudimentary building supplies, such as nails, should be there to assist you. Rule 5. You are not alone in your room. Due to this, I heavily recommend that only leave your bed if absolutely necessary. The best we can do is keep as many things out as possible. As for the things already nearby, as long as you don't move much, I believe nothing will happen. Rule 6. I cannot stress enough how important it is to keep everything out. If something happens not listed here, use common sense. This room is what makes you who you are. It is your core, your soul. You cannot lose that. Fight and struggle until you can't anymore. I'm sorry, son. When they made the offer, the one to sell your memories, they promised to keep you safe. They promised that they would only study you. They lied. And now they are trying to take you away. You just need to keep going, and I'll find a way to get you out someday. I'm so sorry. Is he in a fucking insane asylum?
I don't know. It kind of seems like it though, right?
Yeah.
Or like he sold his son's memories to the devil or something.
But I guess, because it says, like, you're not alone in your room. So yeah, it could be, like, hell.
Oh!
Or
he has like schizo or something.
yeah. But then, like, would they keep you with someone? Because, like, you could harm each other. What? Right?
Squid Games?
Okay. Oh my
Sorry.
god, just waiting for the new season.
Okay, last one. Okay, this one is from Lions Are Friends, and it's called I Killed My Girlfriend While Sleepwalking. I have had problems with sleepwalking just about my whole life. It comes on when I'm exposed to chronic stress. Between losing my job due to COVID-19, fighting to pay the mortgage, and aggressive fights plaguing me and my girlfriend's relationship, it's fair to say that I've had a full plate of stress. So I wasn't surprised when my girlfriend started telling me that I'd been sleepwalking again. It started with me sitting up in bed, only to stare at the door. Then I would get out of bed, sit on top of the dresser, and stare at my girlfriend. She could deal with sitting up in the bed, as she would just push me back down. But me staring at her while perched upon the dresser was starting to scare her. She would tell me that my eyes would be wide, and I would have the most violent look plastered on my face. Then came the yelling. I would sit on the dresser, stare at her, and scream until I not only woke her up, but until I woke myself up as well. The morning after such events were always the worst, as she would accuse me of being awake for the whole thing, although I would never have any recollection of it happening. The added stress from these events only made them worse. I started sitting on her chest at night instead of the dresser. The stares and screams persisted up until she decided to stay with her mom until I could figure out how to keep this under control. And that's when it happened. Her mom's house is within 15 minutes of me and my girlfriend's shared apartment. I had a key to her mom's house, as her mom was just about deaf and wouldn't hear you knock on the door. Me and my girlfriend took turns taking care of her mother, as she was one of the sweetest women I had ever met. While I had an episode of sleepwalking, I entered my girlfriend's family home. I walked the steps into her childhood bedroom where I grabbed her and I strangled her to death. She squirmed and gasped, clawed and slapped. I didn't relent, and I ended her life that night. Her mother, who was sleeping in the room down the hall, was completely oblivious. But I must admit, while I saw the fear drain from her eyes and her fighting stopped, I realized I had never been asleep at all.
Have you ever sleepwalked?
No. Have you?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Well, there we go. Happy Halloween, besties.
Yeah, hope you got some chills from those.
Yeah. And I guess by the time this one comes out, it won't quite be Halloween.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you could always re-listen to it on Halloween, save it, don't listen to it till Halloween.
True.
Yeah, there you go. Spooktacular episode.
Our next week episode is going to be fun.
Yeah, we're like actually taking a break from the trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be cute. I'm excited for the next one.
Me too. But yeah, we hope you guys enjoyed this one.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Make sure to like, share, comment, follow, whatever the fuck else you want to do.
And we'll see you guys in our next episode.
XOXO, Ghost If Girls.